Let me share with you a little about that phase of writing. At this moment, there are still fragments in my book that are hard for me, the author, to pass by, not to say to read it again. What gave me the strong motivation, obstinate intention to go on, not to give up in spite of the hardship, the inconveniences, the economic sacrifices? First of all, it was the feeling of conveying a message, to forward the tale of my people, their peril and pain, to add a little grain to the scale that challenges the villainous deniers of the Shoah. But more than everything, I found myself being chosen for unexplained reasons to be the representative, the shaliach of my friends, the kinderlach of my house, the friends of my neighboring yard, with whom I played and quarreled and competed and laughed for 3 imprisoned years in the ghetto. None of them, not even one, survived and returned to life like me. Until this very day, it is still the great unexplained puzzle that doesn't leave me. Why me? Lama ani? Of all the other children of the ghetto, Arke and Memke, Moishele, Zelda, Minale, all those that I mentioned in my memoir, and many, many others. Not to mention my little sister, Yehudit, who did not even complete her 6th day of life. Of the 5,000 children under bar mitzvah age, under 13, that entered our ghetto in August 41, by August 44, the day of 1st of August 44, the day of liberation by the Red Army, approximately only 200 to 250 children survived. About 4 persons, which means that 4 of each 100 children only survived, and I am one of those 4. Each one of them has a most unique and unconceivable story of survival. If all those stories of rescue were brought together in one book, it would read like tales of fantasies and miracles. May I add to the reasons for completing the book, people noted it, that without having intended to do so, I have created a memorial also for my mother and heroic deeds. As I noted in my foreword, she gave me life twice, but was unable to save her own even once. What were my benefits of this writing, as far as I can evaluate? I began for the first time to talk about those years in high schools. I volunteered to meet students and to tell them a little. After many years, the hidden chapters of my tale are now retrievable like various volumes of books on a shelf without much effort. I found myself looking for other children, survivors like me, and I'm happy again to see them among the public here. Each of them, as I mentioned before, bearing his unique story of rescue, otherwise they would not be here. We began to meet, to share stories. Many of them had not yet told their tale completely to others. Letters and other kind of benefits were the later discoveries and deep impression received from readers. Letters, telephone calls follow me until now from deeply moved readers, even during the last days here. Besides general compliments, I especially treasure and am excited by more information in regard to events or people that I mention in the book. Excited people found belated and unexpected trails of their vanished dear ones with whom they lost contact several years before my modest testimony. Some of the nameless persons suddenly became alive. People identified their dear ones in my text. I could, of course, tell you much more, but our time is limited. At this point, I would like to say something to the survivors among the public here, to send you a message. Sit down and tell your story. Either by writing or by recording, talk about it. Don't give up. Even if it hurts, and it hurts a lot, the final result will justify your efforts. Now let me maybe to improve a little the move of ourselves by reading another fragment from my book, which is a little, much more positive, I would say, and more cheerful, or encouraging at least. It is one of the last pages of my original book, before the epilogue. It was Shabbat morning, and I was hurrying to return to my wife, who the night before had brought our firstborn daughter into the world. As on the wings of an eagle, I sped along on a bicycle through the Arava plain for the 42 kilometers between Yotvata, Kibbutz Yotvata, where we lived that time, and the hospital in Eilat, where we were going to decide on her name. I intended to suggest, with many reservations, that she be named after my little sister. I pushed the pedals with all the strength my 30 years had given me. I wept and sang the entire way. A friendly northern wind pushed from behind as I forged ahead, singing. It was a splendid Shabbat, a festive Saturday, and I was alone in the Arava, holding it in my arms from the east to the west. The mountains of Edom across from the left side, across from me, skipped like rams. Gazelles sprang up behind bushes. Antelopes sprang forward to congratulate me. A unicorn galloped in front of me, and after him, Puss in Boots sprang out to announce that I was approaching the city. From all the piers, colorful pennants were waving, and the riverboats blew congratulatory whistles. And my boat, sails drunk with joy, cut swiftly through the gladdened river. More than ever before in my life, I felt that I had finally passed through the eye of the needle, that I had finally come to the other side of the river. I was no longer alone. How lucky I am, how enormously lucky. And had Mother not promised me all that? I would like to end my talk by citing a song from the Ghetto, one of the more beloved by me of the Ghetto songs. Those songs, mostly compiled by unknown or non-professional people, served as a kind of moral outlet and encouragement for the imprisoned community. As it said in my book, the songs were a kind of underground communication for a persecuted community trying to keep its courage up. The following song describes, in a lamenting tone, the daily routine of the brigades that go to work wearing yellow patches and bravely confronting their fate. And then the final and most optimistic verse says, according to my free translation, a day will come and we shall overcome and reach a springtime of victory. Then we shall stretch our limbs and sing a new song of liberty. I'm excited again, I'm sorry. Jewish brigades, cheerful and happy, marching without patches, back to our homeland again. Allow me, if my emotions will enable me, see I foresaw that it will be difficult, to read that last verse in the original Yiddish as a symbolic tribute to my perished people in Ghetto Kovno, in Mameloshen, my mother tongue. Wir wollen noch der Leben, Brüder, unser Frühling, unser Sieg. Dann ausgleichen wir mir die Glieder und schaffen ein neues Freiheitslied. Jiddische Brigades, ausgeputzt ohne Lattes, marschiert mit Freude und Glück in unser Heimatland zurück. So let me finish just as I said in my book. But Lot's wife looked back and she became a pillar of salt. How hard it is to look back and not to turn to salt. Thank you all, and I wish you many blessings. Toda rabba.